video games are really weird sometimes. I mean, look at this one. It's like Pac-Man meets Kicks, but with these bizarre and clashing and conflicting art styles. Like the 80s and the 90s ate each other and then threw up and spray painted it neon. And then there's the cover art. Here's your next month's cover of GQ. Check out the aura on this sucker. Now there's definitely a living presence there. It's called Zoom, and it's a Genesis game. And as is visually apparent, it was released in 1990, smack dab in that gray area between decades. Like, it was obviously the 90s, but there were still pieces of the 80s lying around. And that sums up this game about as well as anything could. Zoom is just... video games are really weird sometimes. Boy. So, once you get past the horrendous cover art, and you actually put this thing in your SEGA Genesis, what happens? Well, a few things. One, your brain instantly goes into shock from the indescribable nonsense you're putting it through. And secondly, this strange vector grid starts spinning around, zooming toward you. Hence the title, maybe? I mean, who knows? Maybe this guy, but I'm afraid to ask. Apparently his name is Zoomer. He's like an egg guy. Look, I don't know. And I'm not gonna get into this right now. This is just too weird. Anyway, the point is, he's like skating around on the 1980s grid, and then a bunch of severed hands and scrubbing brushes try to kill him. But, you know, fortunately he can freeze time when he touches a clock. He can also touch hot dogs and the sun. If I've lost you, just let me know.
Come on, boy, come on, boy, come on, boy, come on, boy.
Alright, maybe we should start over. So you have to blow up the grid, right? And you do that by tracing the lines. Once you trace an entire square, that square starts flashing. Once you've traced all the squares, the grid explodes. All the scrubbing brushes die. You survive though, which is unfortunate, because some things... science should come with an eraser, is all I'm saying. So again, it's like the line drawing gameplay of the arcade game Kicks meets the holy crap ghosts are chasing me around a maze gameplay of Pac-Man, plus mountains and mountains of acid. And also they're not ghosts, they're severed hands. Green severed hands. You want a severed hand? Zoomer can get you a severed hand. With green skin. He can get you a hand by 3 o'clock. Because they're chasing him through the 1980s! But you know what the weirdest thing of all is? It's that Zoom is actually pretty decent. It's weird, it's borderline creepy, it's a total mess of styles, but the gameplay works. There's some serious strategy to figuring out which lines to trace ahead of time, which lines to use to finish the squares, so you can get bonus points for finishing consecutive squares. So you're kind of trying to set yourself up for that one long line of bonuses. Just boom, boom, one after another. It's really a lot of fun to play and to try to think 3 steps ahead of yourself. Now, the problem with this game is how it plays. The controls just aren't as precise as they should be. There were lots of times when Zoomer didn't go in the direction I'd pushed, which actually might be more of a Genesis problem. The controller has that loose, circular D-pad, and that's hardly ideal for a game where you're only going in 4 directions. You spend all this time trying to set up bonuses, only to go down the wrong line and be destroyed by a toilet brush. All thanks to some wonky controls. That's a hell of a way to go.
Come on, boy. Come on, boy.
And you know, I could see some people liking this game's style, like, ironically, but really, it's kind of a mess. It's like, it's surreal with all these weird characters, which is cool, but none of the designs are any good, and they're silly and playful looking, but at the same time, you have a super serious, almost H.R. Giger-like design at the top of the screen. So, I don't know, the graphics aren't great, neither is the music. And honestly, Zoom could have been a stylish game if the ideas came together, but they don't. None of it makes much sense together. I'd never even heard of this game before our friend Ben from Buffalo, New York sent it in. So, huge thanks for that. I mean, this was an enlightening experience. Kind of. Honestly, I don't know what it was. What I do know is that Despite the control problems and the repetition and the muddled design, I actually had a lot of fun with this game. And I imagine if you're on drugs, you'd have even more. Don't do drugs, kids. It's Zoom for the SEGA Genesis! This game's enough of a trip.